really like a physical barrier. To Noongar people, they don't exist. So there is no barrier between this sacred area and the sacred area where we'll go and look at shortly. But the stone structure you see here is actually the Waugal, or the rainbow serpent's head. And inside its mouth, it's actually the entrance to a cave. And if you look up here, you can also see the snake's head moving down the valley with another smaller snake on its side.
On this curve here.
Just above,
Right.
see? Up top in between the two trees.
Okay, yeah.
So the snake is actually travelling down, travels down over the cave and then up here.
Here, right. This piece here with the crack, it looks so much like a snake's head.
It is a snake.
Yeah.
So the dreaming story in the songline is actually real. Not only is it an echo of creation and the dreaming, it is actually physically in the land. And so the songline stories and the knowledge systems are about the first book of creation. So people often say that Christians, Muslims and Hebrews or Jewish people are people of the book. And it's a book of creation. Whereas for First Nations people, and in this case Aboriginal people, the first book or book of creation is the land. And so the energy and the vibration and the knowledge of this place is a combination of Waugal or snake dreaming. And there's also whale dreaming here that runs from the coast, Augusta, inland to York, and I'll show you over the ridge where the whale is in the land. But we also have the cave here where the moon come out of the earth and went into the sky.
Oh, okay. So that's the basic storyline behind the moon cave then.
Yeah. So there's a number of songline stories that connect here. Now you can see this valley, and up top, where the Waugal, the snake, is actually moved around.
Right.
So it's also left its footprint or its echo as well as its physical presence in the land. And Noongar people were allocated this land,
Right.
as well as the knowledge and the wisdom that it took to care for this land.
Okay.
And so the songs and the stories are actually a part of that innate dreaming. And then therefore they've been passed down through generations.
And a lot of that in our Aboriginal or Inuit cultures is getting lost.
Yeah.
Because the children have their eyes on the city and social,
So here too, there are those fundamental challenges. But in terms of your natural innate identity and your belonging, and when you look at an energy and the vibration, that you really need to be strong and to walk strong and to serve others in reciprocal obligation to care for one another, then really there is no choice but to return to these dreaming songlines.
But it must be hard to stay connected to that when you're in the city.
It is.
You have to
have a
come
conscious
this
effort,
place.
and you have to actually return to country.
Yeah.
You have to walk on country.
Right.
So one of the things I'm going to ask us to do when we walk up upon this rock is to take our shoes off.
Okay. Right.
Because we're on sacred ground.
Yes. Yes.
So if we walk through now,
Right.
how it's demonstrated the sacredness is that for Noongar people, that innate wisdom and belonging is in deep connection and unison and reciprocal connection to the earth. So this is our spiritual centre and sacred place. So the Waugal is interconnected with the moon cave and the original creation.
Right.
Just as the whale, which is over the top of this ridge,
Yes.
where we'll go after we've finished, is a part of the great Nyanning, or the dreaming time, the creation time.
Right.
So what we're going to do, I'm going to paint up and prepare here.
Okay.
But what I'll say after I get painted up is the story of how the Waugal become real.
Right.
And I explain this physical and cultural and spiritual manifestation. Now, the last time I was here, I slept in this cave.
Oh, really? I bet the stars out here are
for
incredible.
4 days.
Yeah.
And 5 nights and 4 days I was here.
Is that like a reference to a vision quest?
Yeah. I did a spiritual time here. Now, at that time, the rainbow was everywhere. But the rainbow actually come down and spread across the earth.
Okay.
And the Waugal, or the rainbow snake, was manifesting and moving whilst I was here. So that's the last time I was here. In this season it's quite dry, but the season just a couple of months ago, this was all still very wet. So we'll go and prepare. So I invite you over. Did a Waugal dreaming. And I actually moved with the Waugal as part of the Songline dreaming through this earth. And part of my body become connected to the Waugal.
Yes.
And so by entering and travelling with the Waugal and staying here and doing those 4 days, I actually invoked and become a part of the dreaming story for this place. You would notice that it's very cool in here.
Mm-hmm.
It's very moderate. So if it's cold outside, it's warm in here. If it's hot outside, it's cool in here. This is a place, a ceremonial place, which is really connected to the dreaming of the snake and law and creation.
And you really feel like you're in the throat of the snake.
Yeah. So we can actually go down, if you come down here, and then you can look outside the Waugal's mouth.
Right.
If you come down, Hiroaki, so Harry can get a shot. I might, brother, can you move my bag or bring my bag down?
Yeah, sure.
So it's out of the shot, and I'll get painted up in a second.
Oh, this is so crazy.
So we're actually, we are physically inside the Waugal's
mouth. Yes.
And we're looking out of its mouth now.
Yeah.
So this is a moment in the great dreaming of Noongar people and the creation of our land.
Yeah.
Now you've seen the pathways.
Yes.
Now we've seen ahead of the Waugal.
Yeah.
And this is representative of how big the snake was in the dreaming.
Exactly.
And so it's an echo where it's just been left as part of the dreaming and creation. And so this is a space where the energy and the spirit of the Waugal you can see out and you can see its sight. And so by invoking the Waugal and by sleeping in here, you're actually really connecting with the understanding and the vision of the Waugal, one of the great ancestral creation beings. Wow. The clan group.
The clan groups.
The Baladon clan group.
Right.
Their Mother Earth.
Their Mother Earth, okay.
Although Noongars are all interconnected,
right,
we must acknowledge that we walk
on their sacred
invited and welcome on this land, but also that we are now standing inside the Waugal's body,
Right.
and are really now a part of the energy and the vibration of the great rainbow serpent, one of the creation beings, you know, major songlines. So this is a very sacred and powerful place where we stand, and this is a place for ceremony, this is a place for wisdom, this is a place for discernment. But even bigger than that, if we look outside the mouth of the Waugal, we're actually looking with the sight of the Waugal. So I would just ask that we just pause, acknowledge that, and look out and connect with that for a moment. So one of the most remarkable things, Hiroaki, is that some of the pieces that you've developed here in Australia and you're weaving is actually in alignment with the cave paintings that we're going to go and see.
Right.
And so it's almost like the spirit has been invoked in some of your works.
Exactly, yeah.
And that the spirit and the vibration and the story of your works and the connection to the earth have brought you here to witness the cave. Now that is why, through Donna and also Justin Kickett, that you've been welcomed upon this country, and that you're being guided through it.
That's an honor, yes.
So, as I said, Hiroaki, we have cultural protocol and permission to walk on Baladong country, on Baladong Nalabuja. We have permission to walk upon the Waugal streaming trails. And this is an extension of the songline journey that you've walked with us, going back to Fremantle, the mouth of the Derbil Yarrigan. The Avalon River is just over here to my left, and is a part of the Swan River or the Derbil Yarrigan. And so this is an extension of your interconnection and your knowledge growth of the songline journey and the inspirational works that you've developed whilst you're in Australia. So what I would like to tell you is the story of the dreaming. And so in the beginning, the earth was without form, and it was very cold, or a freezing time. Noongars know it as the Great Nyanning. And all the beings that you see alive today, including men and women, had yet to become real. We were actually still locked in the dreaming and the spirit realm. So we were in the spirit form, or in the spirit dimension. And one of the first beings to become real was the Waugal, the great rainbow serpent. And so where we sit right now, this is inside the mouthpiece, or the head of the Waugal. And so we have prepared for our journey on this songline in full connection and unison with the Waugal or the rainbow serpent songline. And so the Waugal pushed its body up. And as it pushed its body up, it started to transition from the spirit realm to become real. And the songlines that we've walked upon are an echo or a track that the Waugal has left imprinted and embodied in the earth. So this isn't a granite cave. This is actually an echo of the Waugal's head as it moved through the earth and become real, as it moved from the spirit dimension into the physical dimension, or the time that we live in today after the dreaming. But the dreaming is interconnected. It's not removed. It's a part of. And so after the snake become real, the trees started to form and become real. And basically the trees made a pledge, and they said, you can use our branches, you can use our leaves, you can use it for food, you can use it for medicine, you can use it for shelter, but don't use us until there's nothing left. And so the trees went out and moved from spirit form to physical form. But once they did, they didn't move. They stood still in the earth. And so the trees knew their place of belonging and their understanding in the creation. And the Waugal was still moving through, creating the rivers, pushing up the mountains, and you've seen the pathways that we're walking on today where the Waugal has left its body shape in the earth. And so as the animals and the plants started to become real, it was left to 5 main beings, one of them the Waugal. Now the Waugal is both highly respected but also revered. It's a very powerful entity. So the Waugal chose its own pathway, and as I said, it formed rivers and mountains and pathways where the trees and the songlines that people follow still stand today. And there was the kangaroo, the emu, the echidna, and the goanna, and there was one man and woman, so people. And a debate started about the earth. And this links strongly to the eco-fashion event and the principles of what it really is in terms of humanity and survival and the ways that we should live, work and serve one another in reciprocal obligation in terms of caring, respecting and sharing with one another. And so as that debate raged around who would be responsible for that obligation, Waich the emu decided that it was him. And he said, it's me. I'm the carer of the earth. I'm the one. And so Waich the emu ran off and become real and started to move through the earth. But in actual fact, that was actually very incorrect. Waich was more interested in himself rather than others. And it was selfish. So Waich, in actual fact, had almost cursed himself. So Waich will be used for his feathers in ceremony, for clothing, for warmth, for meat, for medicine. But Waich is not the carer of the earth. Waich also has other lessons. The male emu actually cares for the young. So Waich can teach men about being nurturers and carers within family. But Waich was not to become the carer of the earth. And then that left the goanna and the kangaroo. Goanna, and the echidna. And they started to argue about who would be the carer of the earth. And so as they started to argue, they realised, well, it's not us. We can't even agree. So how could we care for one another? But they play an important role. They are actually a part of the ceremonial journey of spirits and of burial. And so you'll see that both of those animals are connected to the termite ant's nest, and will often bury their eggs inside the ant's nest and where it is born out of the earth or the underworld. It's also where we bury our dead, where their flesh or their, like a stomach, the ants take the flesh of our loved ones back into Nullabuja, the Mother Earth. And so those beings are part guardian to that story. And that can go on and on, that story. That's far more complex. But that was their key role. And again, they're a medicine, they're a food source, they're a powerful totem. Mm-hmm. But then the kangaroo turned and he said, "No," he said, "it's not me. My hands aren't big enough to carry the duty of being the carer of the earth. You can use my clothes, my fur for clothing. You can eat my meat. You can use my bones for sewing, for spears. But don't use me until there's nothing left. I make a pledge to you, the first man and the first woman of Noongar country, that I will serve you as a totem, as a part of the 6 seasons. But it's not me, it's you. It's you humans who are the carers of the earth." And so was born, out of the dreaming and the creation, which has left its imprints in the earth that we walk on, as a lesson, as a life lesson, as a reminder, as a law system that isn't written on tablets of stone but on the stones of the earth, of how humans are the stewards and the carers of the earth. Noongar people lived according to a 6-season cycle, and we're now in Burak, the dry season, the hot season. And each and every person had an individual totem, both food sources and plant sources. And so you actually become that plant or become that animal. You didn't eat it, but you made sure that when it was harvested and utilised by people, the carers of the earth, that it was used in accordance to the 6 seasonal cycle. So it was only harvest when it was meant to, when it was in bloom or in favour in that season. It was distributed evenly amongst the people, so no one missed out. It was about sharing and reciprocal obligation to one another. It was also ceremonially protected and processed. So unlike how we live today in terms of processing meat, it was actually done in accordance to the circle of life with great respect and thanks for the being that was serving us as the carers of the earth. And so because each person had an individual belonging and connection through the totem system, through the 6 seasonal cycles, to the very law of the land or the first book of creation, then it was a system of harmony, environmentalism, sustainability that was untouched for thousands of years. It was also across the holistic being of humanity. So it was culture, it was knowledge in the mind, mental, it was the emotions, it was the spirituality, and it was the physical. It was about the vibration and the energy of being a part of and belonging to the land, but also the role that humanity plays, not as a destroyer, but as a protector and a steward of the land and of each other and of sustainability. So for Noongar people, just as the Waugal songline is connected to the dreaming and the law, so are we. And each and every one of us has that personal obligation to continue that pathway of correctness. And there is a message in the eco-fashion industry in terms of sustainability and reciprocal obligation to one another and reducing our footprint. So it is my belief that such messages as Sea Shepherd, which we've seen on the opening night, the eco-fashion industry, but also the Noongar or other First Nations messages, is that we must unite as in the essence of humanity and with the older knowledge that all cultures hold of a return to the reciprocal obligation that we have to one another and the belonging to the land and to creation, and also the belonging of that knowledge to us, all humanity, to be the carers and the protectors of the earth. We shouldn't be looking anywhere else other than our own backyard and our own earth in terms of our ongoing connection to one another and our ongoing survival of our future generations. And we hold the knowledge, the wisdom and the technology to combine these understandings so that both the first law of dreaming and creation, which is held by the First Nations people, and the strength and the power of technology can combine so that again humanity can have that holistic balance across spirit, culture, emotions, mental thinking and physical being. Because we are not separate from creation or the universe, we are a part of. And so Hiroaki, I thank you for my time with you, and I look forward to showing you further this songline today. Okay.
Wow.
So just before we go any further, I'll just like speak to the land. It's in the same conceptual understanding really that over on the other side we're in Waugal or snake dreaming. We're actually now going to walk upon moon dreaming, we already are. And so we have, protocol-wise, we've got permission from Belladong elders and the caretaker of this earth, the owner of this earth, to be here. However, we should still announce that we're here. So I'll just do that first. And then we've got right way to walk upon it. The same deal, when we get inside though, like, normally I'd be barefoot, but it's a bit hot today.
Okay.
But when we get inside, we'll just go barefoot straight away. We'll leave our shoes out of the cave.
Okay.
You can get dressed just in there, we'll go through further in. That way it's still cool, eh? It's in the shade there. Is that alright?
Yeah.
Alright. Minang, Gurang! John.
They're all right?
Yeah.
They're home?
Wow.
Yeah, we're good. Really good. That's a stronger message that we're good from last time for me. Stronger.
Because you got TOs.
Yeah. It's really a spiritual complex,
Yeah.
not unlike the Vatican. And so as you walk through and you stand here and we talk about the moon coming out of the earth and through the top of this cave system, you can also see the majestic positioning of such a sacred place on Belladong Noongar country.
Right.
And the sun actually rises here,
Yes.
and so does the moon. And so being a part of the moon songline and the dreaming,
Right.
it's actually right where the moon rises. So the symbology of the songline being infused in the granite rock
Right.
and in the stories and the songs of the people, it's also in alignment with the stars and the story in the stars, which is Jundal's hair. And the same spirit children that she was picking up and placing in her hair as she walked through the land, which symbolises the piece that Hiroaki has made, are the granite boulders that you see dotted through this earth in York. So this is a songline crossroad. So you've seen the Waugal, but you'll also see the whale. And I guess that's evidence of that dreaming of great yenning, when the spirits become real and move from the spiritual realm into the physical realm.
Yeah.
And the whale can move back and forward. It's a different type of being.
Right.
But for the whale, their echoes and imprints here when they walked upon the land.
Right.
But they're now in the ocean. So when they actually beach upon the beach, they're ceremonially released their spirit,
Right.
as Noongar's processed every part of the whale. They didn't hunt them like other whale hunters.
Right.
They waited till the spirit returned to the earth in a beaching, and then ceremonially released the spirit and utilised every part of the whale, including the flesh to eat.
Right.
So York and Belladon country is quite significant. There's also a pathway that runs down through the granite to Bluff Knoll.
To where?
Bluff Knoll, which is a mountain range,
Okay.
and that is a spiritual pathway where ancestors were buried. So
Right.
there's a lot of interconnecting points right here on this earth. Donna will tell you it's very significant that it now is held by Noongars. It's most important that it's protected for generations to come. But further to that, the law and the understanding within the earth here, which is innate in Noongars and their birthright, must be reactivated.
Right.
So in some ways, the land sits semi-dormant, awaiting Noongars and other people who now live upon the land to walk it and to reconnect with the law of it.
Right.
And so it's almost bursting with energy and vibration for that to happen. And so some of what we do today is a part of that.
Yeah.
Come and have a look. Hiroaki. Can you get a photo of all of us? So I think what's significant is about the timing that we've come here
Oh, yeah.
with permission from the Belladong elders and the caretakers of this earth, with the Murijoga from this land. And this is where the moon actually busted out and was born out of the earth and went into the sky. And the moon, Mika is here. The moon is here in the exact positioning and alignment of the songline. For it's the spirits. You see the moon?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
And that's unplanned, that's just innate, that's just happened. I was also telling Hiroaki around the mapping of songlines, and so a piece that he'll make will be in alignment with the map that's drawn on the cave here.
That even looks like a turtle.
It does, yes.
This is turtle dreaming here.
Yeah. That's...
Yeah. So Hiroaki, this cave painting piece here is actually the songlines that are mapped in the area and the crisscross other journeys and the significant points to Noongar people. And so part of your symbolism and meaning, both spiritually and culturally, and connection to ancient knowledges in your art, in your fashion, given your connection with Noongar people, including Belladong people who have modelled for you, it would be an honour and a privilege to see that interwoven into your fashion pieces and your work.
Perfect. And 1, 2, 3.
Okay, that's good.
3.
Okay, that's good.
Hiroaki,
Yeah.
you see
Yes,
the
and
connection
down.
between your piece
Beautiful.
and the artwork here. It's like the spirits brought
Can you
us
bring your
together,
left
the
hand
ancestors,
out towards
You
the
have to
edge,
make
yes, and put it
another
up like
one.
this.
with a big disc
Yes, like that.
representing
And then put it up against the
the
wall.
map in the cave
Yes. But
and your
bring it out
connection
towards
and your
me.
journey with us
Yes.
here.
Yes. Perfect.
No worries.
Chin up a bit more. Yes. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I'm going downstairs.